Let's just give it a few minutes. Let's just check the microphone is on. Well, at least, while being live on my own will actually give me the ability to immediately cut to the chase. What? 3 in 1 second? That's kind of different. Hello. You know, actually, I'm going to export this link out. How do I do that again? Don't mind me being bleak at this point, just me. Actually, you might be able to help out. Hello, Alarm Museum. I'm only temporarily bleak just for just a couple more minutes before I get myself together. No, I don't think so. In fact, I think any glasses made before about, I don't know, 1999 would not have been black. They would have only had clear glasses. If anything, I'm not sure how different it would look if you got a black Series 90 glass. It'd be alright, I guess. Actually, well, if Alarm Museum is still watching, would you actually like to be on the stream? Because I could, I don't know, do some relatable company. Because never mind. I'll have to see about that. Maybe I should have figured out how to. Never mind. I'll just have to think of something. But yeah, like this particular live stream, it's about foreign photos again. Probably the third one in a row. Yeah, third one in a row. You can tell things are not going well right now. And you thought Ilford was the worst place just because it was in London. Even in the first place, the worst kind of situation happened didn't even happen in London. But then it got overtaken by London. But now a third one has occurred, and it didn't happen anywhere near London. And this clearly is the worst one. No, well, I actually, I don't know, but being banned is probably the least of my problems. Plus, I don't even think I was even banned from Exchange Ilford. Well, it's a shopping centre after all. You can't really. But well, I just thought Alarm Museum might be appropriate to join the stream because he does foreign photos himself, let alone urbex as well. So I figured it'd be ideal, but that's all right if you can't join. But there are a few questions I may need to ask about it because I don't. Well, it's okay if he doesn't want to open up about it, but I don't know if he's ever been through any really bad situations like any of the ones I've been through. I've never seen a cathedral even with a firearm system before. Well, it's good that cathedral actually has something in it. I just wonder, do you think like the southwest of England is it a lot less dodgy than the east of England or London? I mean, I don't know what's clearly the most dodgy part of the UK's picture firearm systems in. I mean, some would just instantly say that it'd be London because of how strict they really are about everything. But I've just realised that it wasn't. It's actually, I just found the most dodgy place to picture firearm systems is actually where I live, where I currently live, and not where I came from. Well, technically I came from Orpington, and that place isn't particularly dodgy either. Like, in the slightest. Maybe the Morrisons in Petwood may be slightly dodgy if they had caught me picturing anything, but it's a supermarket, so they never did, so... But yeah, supermarkets are alright to picture any system. But this is where, you know, like, the experimental situations come in. Has anyone ever tried to picture firearm systems deliberately in an industrial estate before? Like, has anyone else ever tried it, or is it just me? Well, I'm not saying don't do it at the moment. It just depends where you go. Yeah, I'm glad you bought that Zonemaster off me. I mean, better know it's going to be well looked after. Really? I saw you turn it on in that video, so that counts. Well, I mean, let people answer my question. Do you think anyone's ever pictured firearm systems in any building in an industrial estate before? Like, normally you'd expect the worst kind of situations to happen. Well, actually, the worst kind of situations that happened so far, they never happened in a well-known supermarket, or it never happened in a place like Tesco or Sainsbury's or Morrison's or Asda or even Homebase or Wickes or B&Q. Well, I suppose I had been caught in Wickes in Colchester, but that was an extremely minor situation and it was accepted, so that doesn't really count. What, like your own garage or a quick fit garage or something like that? Well, have you ever had a problem with it? Is it kind of dodgy to pitch your phonal systems in? I mean, really, I thought that shopping centre in Dagenham was a lot dodgier to picture than Ilford, because I'd actually been caught twice in that place, but the situations did not involve any detaining or being banned from it, so that doesn't count as anything major either. And actually, probably due to the fact they knew what I was doing anyway, so I decided just to ease off and be careful again. Well, although system in that shopping centre in Dagenham is actually really rare and it's so interesting. But yeah, you might have to just ease off and just only aim for the really rare equipment. Oh yeah, there's lots of railway-related stuff in Dagenham, including the high-speed line that runs alongside Dagenham Dock Station. Plus, most freight services normally start at Dagenham. Okay, maybe I'm not particularly aimed for garages or MOT centres like QuickFit. I mean, technically, I don't even think I've even pictured a phonal system in any of them before. Well, I have been to them, but most of them don't even have phonal systems at all. And the what was that place? HIQ, that's it. That place didn't used to have a phonal system, but it does have an Eton system now. But I never bothered picturing that one either. Plus, it's not even located in an industrial estate. But I guess for a while I've always said that, I mean, depending on what industrial estate you're in, like, they do tend to have all the good stuff. And, well, it also has somebody who probably currently works in one place in an industrial estate kind of gives a perfect example. But I think it's also another example that no one anonymous can actually get to nice equipment. That's still more interesting than what I've seen in the garage. Plus, I think I've seen other garages with Ficodom, so I never bother going into those either. I thought it was already quite clean, actually. I don't know if I ever cleaned it when I got it, but I guess I didn't need to. But still, one question: why do people think foreign affairs is illegal? It's probably just due to the fact that some anonymous person has literally just walked into their building just to picture their phone system. maybe scary to some people, perhaps that might be why they overreact. Some people might not know what I'm doing, but when some people do know what I'm doing. But this particular situation isn't about that either. Besides, how was I supposed to know what kind of building it really was? I mean, it didn't even look open. In fact, I'm going to share Google Maps on it like I did in the last stream. So, okay. So, well, you'd think London is probably the most dodgy place to picture phone systems. Sure, we do get the most situations, and two Tesco's that have had no clean record of being caught picturing their phone systems are all in London. Even though there's only two Tesco's have ever been caught in, and they're both in London. All the others have a clean record. Although I think the only Sainsbury's I can think of that I've been caught in was actually in Brighton, which is way out of London. It was just yet again well, I mean, kind of rare-ish, but not kind of more well-known kind of situation. But it's particularly generic. That may be, but there's no signs of me actually doing it. Getting my phone out. Well, maybe some might think I might use the front of my phone and this bit to press it. How am I supposed to press the call point with a flat front like that? Besides, some things I may picture may not even be the standard break glass call point. They might be an 1102 or a Carter's call point, which will require a hammer to break air glass. This live is entirely about foreigner photos and the fact that situations are just absolutely getting worse, and it's not about Ilford. Well, maybe that's why I need to keep doing these live streams, because well, no one, and I mean no one, really understands. That's the thing. But maybe I suggest that for now, London really is safer than some other places, though, as it turns out. I mean, for the worst situation to happen right here, right where I live, but well, yeah, I guess it just goes to show you might have to be careful in some parts of industrial estates especially. I mean, the fact is, I very rarely picture foreign systems in industrial estates, but whenever I have, I've pictured like really, really rare equipment when it comes to industrial estates, but there are others I avoid due to their modernizations. Well, you should test it right this minute. I mean, besides, would you expect to find a Zone Master like that in a public place? Like, I don't know, like, we wouldn't find it in Tesco. Tesco's never used Chubb anyway. What other places? I don't know. But yeah, all I know is that Zone Master came from somewhere in Cambridge. But I don't know exactly where in Cambridge it came from. Well, I highly doubt it came from a public place, because Chubb fire alarm systems, or Chubb fire extinguishers, or burglar alarm? Well, actually, they use ADT normally, unfortunately. Well, you know what? The problem with ADT is not their equipment; it's how much they sell them for, and well, what may be covered in this stream, the staff, the attitudes, the the people you deal with from there. Well, you know how Tyco are like, right? We've made our equipment okay. We want thousands of pounds for it. We want more than it's worth, because Tyco equipment isn't all that bad, really. But it's the company itself and the people that install them, especially as Tyco's Manchester branch actually has loads of bad reviews, as if it's like Verisure. It's probably not as bad as Verisure. You're probably still better off with ADT than Verisure, that's for sure. I mean, whatever the case is, I'm very sure that you're not better off with Verisure. Well, never mind, I'm being stupid. Well, actually, no, not with saying that Verisure is complete utter shit. It's, well, imagine Verisure making phone systems. They'd probably make them worse than ACO. And probably even worse than Fike as well. Well, thank you for pointing that out. That's a good name. Well, I'm very sure that Verisure is shit. There you go. Okay, sure, maybe Verisure is actually like, well, both a bad company and make really bad equipment as well. Well, I don't know what the attitudes are of Verisure itself. Maybe I should go and have an encounter with someone at Verisure's Maryland branch that I found. Like what? Verisure or ADT? Well, please say ADT, because I'd rather you said that instead of Verisure. Verisure is not a burglar alarm system. It's a spy camera from China. That's still kind of connected, and it doesn't work anyway. So yeah, we're on the other side of the A14. The part of Bureau 7s that I rarely go to. Well, except for this place, of course, but... Yeah, do you think all of these places look particularly easy to just walk in, picture their phone system and get out again? Well, it's kind of down to experience and probably experiments as well. You've only seen one system with Verisure. I've seen loads, particularly around London, and around here as well. Yeah. How was I supposed to know that was Butcher's? There was literally no signage at all on the outside. But I guess that just shows its anomaly. But it's their own fault for keeping their really rare phone system well exposed from the outside, from the other side of the road, that even my bad eyesight can see. Well, I guess if they had put a white glass in that call, well, they probably couldn't have done, because it's a Carter's call point and not some standard KAC or anything. But if they had put a white glass in it, it'd easily repel me from it. Well, I mean, it should be good that they're not actually modernising their phone system, because, well, we need more rare phone systems out there like that. Well, you see, this is what that guy was talking about. I mean, sure, his point of view may seem different to mine, but you know how he claims that most people selfishly keep their really decent lifts to themselves, and exposed to public ones are just cheap, nasty ones that you get. Well, even though obviously it says that he actually hacks and plays with them. Well, that's not intentionally my ways of following photos. All I do is just picture them. And there is nothing wrong with that. The Secret Vault even said so. But yeah, I think exactly the same thing with people who keep really rare photo systems to themselves, and that they don't want me picturing them. That's basically the problem. It's not that I want to mess about with it, because I'm no way am I doing that, particularly if I don't have the authority to do so. All I want to do is just picture it to reveal its existence. That's it's equipment that no one else probably knows about, but some people might want to know about it. So yeah, they always modernise the photo systems in the most accessible and safe places. I mean, Tesco have been a really disappointment lately with all that stuff. Even though the one in Whittam actually looks like it's been installed for a while. But think about it, if it were in an unauthorised area, that'd be a different story. Normally they wouldn't have a much likely chance to modernise their system. I think they want to keep modern systems exposed to the public when they think they can hide really old equipment to themselves that no one else can see. I mean, really, I don't particularly know how to deal with industrial estates because, I very rarely go to them, and it's not a supermarket where there are so many people in them that you can easily be hidden by other people walking around you, and that's probably why it's so easy to picture photo systems in Tesco's or Sainsbury's or Asda. But industrial estates are very different. Any building there is like so different that it makes things more difficult. Sure, maybe when a public shop is a bit emptier than usual, it does have a risk of you being more exposed, and that's probably why I was caught in Ilford, because actually not very many people were actually in that shop at the time of me picturing that call point, and then getting detained afterwards. The only other person in there was the person that caught me. I mean, what was I thinking? Why? I guess he didn't look like he was a member of staff at first. But I suppose there had been a couple of occasions where just general members of public that are not really part of the building where I'm picturing this phone system have also taken note as well. Well, but they didn't keep it to themselves. They didn't really approach me. Okay, sure. Maybe if you had attempted to go into a service area of Sainsbury's, for example, and try and locate its main fire alarm panel, which in most Sainsbury's is very rarely seen, I think you probably would have a different story with that as well. But I guess if you tried a certain Sainsbury's, like the one in Hammersmith, for example, you wouldn't have to do that because the fire alarm panel is actually exposed. I also wonder what the Sainsbury's Central stores are like. I know there's one in Cambridge and one somewhere in Tottenham Court Road in central London. They're probably not the same as Sainsbury's Local, I don't think. Especially, although they're no longer called Sainsbury's Central, they're just called Sainsbury's, but they're kind of smaller than regular Sainsbury's supermarkets. Yeah, as always, and I mean always, use Protec. That's what all I ever seen as to. You talking about me or anyone else? Because it happens to me all the time. But is it just me that it happens to, or has other people gone through that as well? That's what I need to know. Because the fact is, I'm not the only one who does. I may seem like the only one who does it, especially to the people that I deal with, but I am not the only one who does it. And I don't think I'm the first either. I mean, I've only been doing it since 2012. I'm sure anyone else could have pictured a few one-offs before then. I'm sure there were some photos of foreigners taken in like 2009. Okay, let's just probably go through the whole point of why foreign photos was created in this. Like, I think we go back to, I don't know, although I'd started in 2012, but I don't feel I properly started exactly why I did it until 2015. I mean, it was at some point in early 2015 when I kind of wanted to, I don't know, recap of some of the systems I'd already taken note of, probably back in 2013, but didn't picture at the time. I kind of wanted to look on Google Images to see if anyone else knew about it, but I mean, there were some equipment I was able to find evidence of their existence, but the others, absolutely no chance. So actually, I just figured, you know what? Forget looking up them. I'm just gonna go out, picture them myself, and then I can reveal their existence and prove to everyone that they actually do exist. And therefore, foreign photos was created. That's the main reason why I do it. It's disgusting looks probably leads to your problems. I mean, but how can they give looks without talking though? They don't do it. They never do it without talking. Never. Well, I think I actually did have this idea in 2013 when I pitched that XP95 system. In that, I don't even know where that system was. All I know is it was probably somewhere in Kent somewhere. It wasn't in Orpington or Pettswood. But that was just a bog standard early 2000s XP95 system that, to this day, I probably wouldn't have pictured. Well, particularly if it was in an absolutely public place. But I think I just figured I might as well reveal the existence of that kind of system as well. Because actually, I think the lack of photos was probably so bad back then that there weren't very much evidence of even an early 2000s XP95 system of that existence, although it is kind of obvious in loads of other places that you go to because they're still quite common. So yeah, I think I've made my point of why foreign photos exists in the first place, and some say it is kind of a benefit because, well, actually, you know how I said about moving it to a website where literally everyone could see it. I mean, I was told of how old foreign engineers will be able to, look back at any old equipment that they worked with. That's another benefit. Like they may be desperately looking for images of equipment that they know exist, but there's no evidence of their existence, and that's where foreign photos comes in. That's the whole point of it. Because I know I'm not the only one who wants to find out whether this equipment really does exist or not. And then people will be like, that's like the equipment I saw in somewhere. I don't know where, but yeah, but most of the time people try to look for it but never find any evidence of its existence and just assume that they were wrong of what they saw. at some point I think I'm going to do a compilation video on particular public stores that may be a disappointment to vintage dedicated forum photos, because yeah, I think the only store I can think of that will not be included would be Sainsbury's, because even the modern Sainsbury's are not actually disappointing. Actually, I think I hate it when they do actually try to say something. Yeah, I actually would rather they said nothing at all to me. That would have been a lot easier to deal with. Yeah, and then wouldn't have to try and think of why I do it. But I guess right this minute I'm actually realizing why I was doing it, but it won't work for a situation like this. It just won't. No one would understand. Everyone just sees it. Oh, it's just a phone system. Or actually, they might not even see it as a phone system. They might mistake it for, actually, that looks like a burglar alarm, or I don't even know what the hell that thing is. Really? I never found one on eBay, but I guess I haven't particularly looked. What does the base look like? Does it have the LED in the side of it? And it's not those addressable ones that 5.2b used, or was it? No, Fire Dynamics that had actually converted one of those bases to be addressable, where they would use a conventional detector head on an addressable base. I mean, that is a very weird firing system, Fire Dynamics. They use Hochiki equipment, but they modify them very weirdly. Actually, if that Hochiki heat sector is still on eBay, you might as well just get that. The one with the really old base. Well, first on, let's just say, like, you heard what I said about Ely, for example, but that particular situation may have been nothing. And then we go to Ilford when I get, I'd say, slightly mouthed off as well, and then be called fucking weird for doing that when they find out. Although when I compare that situation to this one, Ilford doesn't seem like anything at all now. It feels like even they accepted it. Well, I mean, when they found out who I really was, they seemed kind of neutral, surprised, and kind of, like, this guy goes around the UK just to picture foreign systems. That's just weird. But what else? What else would they have done? They could have done much worse than that. I mean, when they finally let me go, they seemed a bit accepting. I suppose when I said that, at least I'm not surfing your lift. Now that's something that's dangerous. And actually, I kind of realised that lifts in Exchange Ilford have been surfed. But why is it? Just why? Why is it easier? Why does it look a lot easier to surf lift than picture forum systems? Why does no one who's ever surfed lift go through that situation when there's a better reason to be caught? I don't even understand at all. What was that he said? I mean, thanks for Exchange Ilford for not catching them in the slightest, when I, on the other hand, have been in there, pictured just one call point in one random shop of probably, 50 others, and someone overreacts about it and calls security and detains me for that, and not surfing a lift. What the hell were they thinking? Huh? What, someone mistakes an obstacle smoke sector for a camera? I'll tell you what, speaking of which, in Wilco in Colchester, I mistaked a camera for a smoke detector. Oh God, imagine if someone had caught me picturing that and I'd be like, I thought that was a smoke detector. I didn't realise it was a camera. I mean, you do get these, smoke detector disguised cameras, and they even base them off of the system sensor 12-volt design. There was actually somewhere I was able to tell that actually was a camera. But I pictured it anyway. But yeah, like, think about it. When I'm a final engineer, I will have the authority to picture final systems wherever I go. And, like, when I get asked to service one, I'll be allowed throughout the whole fucking building. So I can do what I like then, and I won't get into any really bad situation. Although, I wonder if any of these places that I've had trouble with will eventually call me out to service their phone system. What should I be like then? Who does what? Yeah, you see, like, that is a lot harder and a lot more dangerous than picturing phone systems, and anyone who catches someone doing that would have had a better reason to illegally detain them. Well, maybe not illegally, maybe... Oh, I don't know, really. Maybe it depends. I mean, I'm told I should respect security for, like, dealing with people who surf lifts, but why should I? Security give me a hard time as well when it has nothing to do with lift surfing. But also it seems that security itself isn't really the worst enemy either. It's actually just general staff that can probably overreact. Security were just called to the situation. They didn't really... Sure, they seemed bleak-minded at Ilford as well, obviously not understanding me in the slightest. Well, I'm not particularly surprised, to be honest. It's not really my problem anyway. Well, maybe it is, but... explain what exactly? I'm just talking, aren't I? Do they really? I mean, I can compare an old Raycor PIR to a Menvia MID 610 ionisation smoke detector, and they don't look all that the same in sight. I guess maybe their conditions may be relatable, but even still, they're not the same, are they? Well, I suppose I do wonder if a fire rate beam detector works the same way as a Merkur alarm PIR. I mean, it's kind of a clever design. I think I need to get more knowledge, actually. That does remind me. I have re-looked into returning to the British Museum, despite the situation from there last time, but that's on the edge of the building where it's a lot dodgier. The middle, there's no problem with that. But I'm going to try and be extra careful, just to be sure. If anything, I haven't even got into exactly what I'm meant to be talking about. The worst situation yet. Although, the fact is, I don't think anything could get worse. But on the other hand, whatever could get worse, I'm probably going to have to keep preparing myself now. I mean, I think next time I'm going to have to try and expect the worst to happen. I mean, the only thing that could happen worse than this, it's they can call the police on me and they can have me arrested. That's probably the only thing that could make it worse. But I don't know what the police would react to exactly what I'm doing. Well, maybe it's the idea of this live stream. If the police ever catch me, I can just show them this live stream and salvage it. And then they'll probably understand, I guess. But I doubt they'll listen. This live stream's already like 45 to 9 minutes. No, but the people in Ilford were this close to calling the police, and not for trespass, for terrorism. I mean, I'd expect it to be done over trespass, which is kind of the average excuse for everything like this. That goes for lift surfing as well. I suppose I did once consider that lift surfing was once the same as picturing phone systems, but now I consider lift surfing to be more like activating or messing about with phone systems rather than picturing them. I mean, I found a better equivalent to that. I mean, that's probably why I gave people the right to lift surf, I guess, because I found it an equivalent. But now I see what makes more sense. It's more like messing about with a phone system because they're messing about with a lift. I mean, they're not just picturing the inside and outside of it. They're messing about with it, riding on top of it as well. That involves operating it. So it'd be like I don't know, going to a place, not only picturing a phone system, but also touching the buttons on an addressable or conventional phone panel, probably activating it, and I guess silencing and resetting it afterwards. Well, sure, Mike. Some say this person doesn't revert the lift back to its original state, but it doesn't happen all the time. Well, I don't understand, really. I mean, since they said that they were going to do it under terrorism and not trespass, that just, I don't know, made me more scared than I would have been if I had done it under trespass. I probably wouldn't have cared. I would have let them do it. But then, like, when they said they do it under terrorism, that's a really different story. I don't know what to expect when they do it under terrorism. I mean, how much more relatable to terrorism is picturing phone systems to lift surfing? Does lift surfing seem a bit relatable to terrorism as well? Well, I guess now that I think about it, you're opening up a lift and maybe a better hiding place for something. That might be the case, I guess. Maybe lift surfing is more realistic to terrorism than picturing phone systems, but I guess it still fits in slightly. I mean, I clearly, every time I get caught and they accuse me of terrorism, I always say that I'm not a terrorist. I'm not working for anyone. I mean, that woman in Superdrug in the Stowmarket asked me if I was working for anyone, and I said no. Yeah. Now that I've only just thought about it, it does make more sense. But that kind of it's probably just even with picturing phone systems anyway. But maybe not messed about with them though. That might not relate to terrorism, I don't think. Maybe unless you're reprogramming them, yes. That might relate in the slightest, but who knows? I'm trying to think if there's any counties that I've never had any problem with. I think so far, it would appear that Essex may be the least dodgy county is to picture any phone system. I mean, I don't think I've ever been caught anywhere in Colchester, for example. Or and I definitely haven't been caught anywhere in Whittam. Even when I went to that Boots Opticians, where no one else was in there, other than staff, because I'd seen a JSB Bell from the outside. I didn't even get caught picturing that somehow. I mean, I was expecting to, because of how exposed I was and how obvious it was what I was doing. But somehow they didn't ask any questions at all. That was probably a really lucky escape for that one. I mean, normally, like in London, I have worse situations like that in active normal boots like Hammersmith and Barking. But somehow in this particular Boots Opticians, which is more dedicated to, you know, what it actually says it is, and maybe less accessible than a normal boot store, I somehow didn't get any questions asked about this. Well, I suppose it's because when I went into that Boots, like I went in at the same time a member of staff was outside and went in before me. I followed behind, and I'd kind of, I mean, I caught a glimpse of the JSB Bell from the outside and kind of reacted a little bit. So she probably would have heard that as well. And I just said, oh, I don't care what happens. I'm going in there to picture it anyway. Because I was literally right behind this member of staff when they entered. So I figured I'd take that opportunity. It was kind of a lucky escape, that one. Well, exactly. That's probably why I should, you know, prepare myself and probably accept any fate that happens. I mean, now I'm just gonna probably let it happen. If anyone wants to put me in prison, they can do that. But you'll never take down Fulton photos because it's there for a reason. I mean, it may seem like a pointless reason to everyone else, but to me, it's just, well, they wouldn't understand normally. Okay, like, well, the fact is, I hadn't even proceeded to picture it at the time of being caught. I had not done anything. But I guess because it's an industrial estate, it kind of has a different story. And, well, I'm not particularly familiar with picturing foreign systems in industrial estates. I just know that they tend to have really good equipment. So, this is where, I mean, you may have seen that latest picture on Foreign Photos. Why do you think the quality is bad? Why do you think it looks like something that was taken in a horror movie? It's all too real. It really is. It is something like that. It's probably just because of it had to be taken in an instant, in a sort of last resort, probably rare occurrence of actually doing it at the last minute. And or think about, put it this way, you're trying to take that picture when you're being restrained, probably by either the police or security or anything. You're probably trying to take that picture while you're being attacked. Perhaps that might be the case. Good for you, mate. Good for you. You don't need those ACO relatives. They're horrible. EMS, even wireless EMS FireCell is much better. Yeah, take a moment to think. Why do you think that picture is bad quality? Why do you think it looks like... Oh, mate, it looks like he pictured that when... He looks like he pictured that whilst being attacked. I mean, that's exactly the case, really. Maybe I wouldn't say attacked physically, but at least verbally, more so than Ilford. I thought Ilford was being verbally abusive. Hence, you saw that video, right? You heard most of the verbal abuse I got, but that was nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, so let's just start. I think it was about, I don't know, 1531, or was it 1600? No, it was 1531. We had left. I was walking on this side of the road, but I'd caught a glimpse. Although this particular building didn't look that open at all. But I caught a glimpse of what appeared to be, well, an old-looking call point from this side of the road that I was on. I decided just to walk over and have a look at it, and because it was really exposed, I kind of attempted to try and picture it from the outside, but rejected it because of the bad quality. So I decided just to abort and just leave immediately. So I kind of proceeded to continue and just try and think of a plan on how to get into that place eventually. And then someone comes out from that place as if it was, well, let's just get this straight. Do you think this place looks particularly open or particularly the kind of, promising in every way? I mean, what's this supposed to give away of what this place really is? Like, do you think it looks like the kind of place that it says it is? I mean, is this the only signage that they have? I mean, it's really confusing. It just has East Anglian Foods Limited, 57 Eastern Way, Bury St Edmunds. Bury St Edmunds, yes. It turns out that Bury St Edmunds, where I fucking live, is the most dodgy place, and it's more dodgier than London. So yeah, I proceeded to just take a quick look at the system and then just moved off again. But then someone must have seen me taking a look at it and came out, and then I decided to reverse the process and take that opportunity. It may have been nerve-wracking at first, but I knew it was an opportunity, and probably only opportunity I had to take for the sake of picturing a really rare fire alarm system. But so the first staff comes out, probably the least aggressive of the lot, pretty much, but kind of following through with the most aggressive of the lot, and just being, brainwashed with everything that they hear, possibly about my own kind, that they don't give a fuck about. It's kind of obvious, really. So, basically, I went back to it, and this is something I very rarely do. But because there was kind of no way in anyway, it was kind of a bit of a blockage in some cases. I wouldn't have been able to, push her out of the way and just picture it and then leave again. Well, that probably would have been a better idea, but it would have resulted into disaster, perhaps. Besides, I wouldn't do that as a first impression anyway. But speaking of first impressions, that's where this bad situation comes in. All I do is ask the picture. I mean, it's obvious that it's a rare fire alarm system, so I decide to explain everything about me. But I kind of, when the gap becomes bigger, I attempt, or at least try to attempt to picture it. But I think by then the other two remaining staff come out as well and probably see what's going on. All three of them were British. All three of them. And when I proceed, and things really go off the rails. Normally, you see, this is why you must never ask permission. But it depends where you are, though. Sometimes, certainly if you can't get into a place, you kind of have to break your rules a little bit. But speaking of which, you might have to come up with new ones that may have an extreme consequence. And another thing, how was I supposed to know that was a butcher's anyway? It doesn't look anything like one, particularly as it looks like a closed down building. It looked like somewhere you'd urbex, although if it were closed down, it probably would have been boarded off as well. That would be the case as well. Although that's not really the case for places that are intended to be reused, like empty shops, for example. They're not particularly boarded up. So I proceed. Well, this is why I'm also not going to clean the lens on my phone, because the fingerprints from not me may still be on it. Well, I attempt to picture what's in there, but But then, well, but then she has something else in mind. She just grabs my phone like that, puts it over the lens deliberately, probably knowing where it is. And then, well, this is where I become a bit more talkative, but probably not standing up enough. But then this extremely aggressive guy covers them. Like, the first impression is extremely bad language for a start, but normally I wouldn't take that. It's probably the same as being at home, I guess. I live with someone like that, for God's sakes, but this one's kind of different, no matter how identical it may be in terms of attitude. Even though unlike Ilford, you may have heard I actually did let out my bad attitude a little bit at one point. But at this point, I hadn't done anything. I hadn't let out any of my bad attitude. I'd only tried to be nice about it. But this is when they are now the ones that make a bad first impression. He says something, and then the next thing he says is, "Why don't you fuck off and get out of this place?" Like, like some, what do you call it? It may get to you really. It may get you to you like pretty badly, but I continued to, fight back, but not in a way that I did at Ilford. Like, you can tell this person clearly isn't the kind you want to be with, and just shows authorities are not trustworthy in the slightest. And maybe security really are more trustworthy than that. So whatever it continued for 3 minutes or 5 minutes straight. Well, at least it didn't last 30 minutes of being detained, but they were far from wanting to detain me. But maybe for the sake of picturing that phone system, it would have been better to be detained, because then I'd have a better chance of doing so. I can't give up for a rare system like that, can I? So tried my best, but then after 2 minutes, I probably decided to proceed to, I'd say, what may be called an emergency kind of procedure that might have an extreme consequence. Like, so I decided to also, I don't normally pitch phone systems like this, where I close up my phone, but even though it's still turned on, in fact, I did the same thing when I was recording the abusive attitude in Ilford, so that they wouldn't see it, so that they wouldn't see that I was recording. I wouldn't have had to do it. Although I probably should have done it here as well, but I kind of didn't want to do that as a first impression. Normally I would only do that in like really bad situations where it's probably, I'd probably have to leave it a couple of minutes or something before I decide it's bad enough that it should be recorded. But let's not forget, I'm using the same phone to do that and picture phone systems at the same time, so that makes it impossible. And what was more important, that the existence of what they had to be revealed. It had to be done. The next thing I know is so yeah, I proceed, hold my phone closed out like this, and hit this button, which I had kind of practiced previously and kind of intended to probably do this in London and picture phone systems without them seeing that I'd actually done it. Although this is probably why I probably need to turn the sound off on my phone as well, because I don't like the fact that my phone makes a noise when it actually pictures, and that's probably what gives it away. So I'd quickly done it, but things really go off the rails due to that procedure. And the only reason I got out of it was because I wasn't alone this time. In Ilford and Ely, I was entirely alone. That's why it took so long. Well, actually, Ely didn't take long at all, but I had been saved at this very point when things could have ended up really bad. Well, I don't know what they could have done, but they probably could have at least called the police, something like that. Although now that I think about it, I probably wouldn't mind if they did, but I'm probably not particularly ready to deal with it. But now I'm just going to assume that something like that will happen again, especially around here. In places that look like really rare equipment, it turned out to be an extreme trap, just like Ilford. If anything, in fact, all three situations where they've resorted to being the worst ones, all three of them have involved picturing Chubb equipment. I mean, although the system at Ely was actually a chloride logic system, there was a Chubb panel next to the main Farnham panel, which also looks interesting as well. So I pictured that as well. So that was actually the last thing that I pictured in that place, and not the main Farnham panel. So that counts. Well, the Farnham system in that place in Ilford was entirely Chubb, and being the only thing I pictured, so that counts as well. And with this being entirely Chubb as well, it kind of just shows it. I mean, this is just where things just go too far with this whole being caught for picturing Farnham systems thing. I do it alone all the time, but at this point, someone nearby on the other side of the road had proceeded to help me. That's why I'd got away with it, pretty much. But normally I kind of say, when it comes to a situation like that, I kind of say that I will not take the location, but I end up doing it, because then I'm like, you know what, I don't care if they can track me down. They can do that for all I care, and see what they're actually dealing with. But this one, I really have proceeded to actually not take any location in it at all. Even though now this live stream really does give it away, I guess. Maybe at some point I'll come to terms with, well, I won't care if they want to track me down. And I mean, it was pretty obvious. I mean, I'd even expressed a lot more than I could have done in Ilford. A lot more. And actually, this is something else I rarely do. I showed them my Instagram. Well, I suppose I kind of did that at the last minute in Ilford, but only because they forced me to, show it to them. Well, actually, no, they hadn't. They hadn't seen it. They had not seen the Instagram. They had just seen my general photos, and and the fact that they know where I live is also giving it away that I do it literally anywhere. I mean, I was suggesting I probably should just take a break from Farnham photos, which I might do. Maybe I'll just go back to easy places like supermarkets and just general shops where you can't actually get. Well, it's really just supermarkets that are probably the easiest places to do it. It's just supermarkets have been a bit of a disappointment lately. I mean, particularly Tesco's, Asda, Morrison's. Not Sainsbury's, though. I mean, I don't know which one's the worst. Well, actually, I think the most disappointing supermarket would be Aldi. The fact that they normally use Fike, and even old ones would have actually had their old system replaced with Fike as well. So that just goes to show it, I guess. Well, but here's just something else. I mean, I said that, that I should, basically just raise awareness to my kind, to this particular person. But I mean, I don't think I did that in Ilford or Ely. other than me saying that, well, I'm interested in foreign systems, but that's just the basics of everything. Telling them about what I really was, like something that I'd really do. I think I'd only have to do it within the worst high-level situation like this one. I mean, I could just tell. I mean, in fact, this guy said it himself. This guy said it to me himself. You're clearly messed up inside in every way. Like, I don't know, like in some domestic abusive arguments you get. That's exactly what it was like. But for it to happen in some anonymous place in an industrial estate that does not relate to domestic abuse, this is external kind of abuse from someone you don't know about. I mean, I said that I tried to raise awareness, but you can tell he's clearly the kind that he's phobic of everything. I mean, you know how it is. Like, I respect people who are not like phobic of anything, like phobic of my own kind, for example, or probably a lot more than that. I mean, this is actually why I, in the first place, respected the so-called lift surfing Morton, because he's not homophobic or transphobic in the slightest, and actually, he at least respects my kind. That's probably enough for me to overlook it. But I suppose when you're overtaken by the things he does, although I don't find that particularly overtaking. And it's quite clear that he's not the worst person I've ever dealt with, especially now. I mean, let alone this, I live with someone probably at least as bad, or probably worse, because I've taken abuse. Only the abuse made a little bit more sense, perhaps. And because I know this person, I'm able to deal with it slightly and just not react at all. And it's not like I have a certain procedure they're trying to stop me from doing. Although the abuse to other people may have been so bad that I actually exposed it to. I put someone on the phone who was in the pub at the time whilst he was being abusive to me, and everyone in the pub heard it and reacted. Even the most dodgy person in the pub kind of reacted in the same way as well. But even that wasn't quite as bad as this one. Why I said that he should probably be aware about my kind. He says, I don't want to be aware of your kind. I like being phobic of everything. Well, he probably doesn't, because but I can't really change it. It's his own decision. But the fact is, this is where things kind of get different. Like, because the situation being worse than Ilford and Ely, of being so bad. I mean, when I'd been saved, or at one point, that's how I describe it, being saved, because that's actually what it felt like. I actually broke down into tears, which very probably hasn't happened in years, particularly for a situation like this. I mean, I reacted exactly the same way that is shown in, another video of probably a very similar situation, but only situation may be a bit more serious. But probably because it's in London, I guess maybe that shows it. But yeah, like, the fact that I reacted in that way in the end, it just makes me feel very weak. I just realise how weak I am at dealing with these situations. I said about, and probably just said about maybe taking a break, or just, now I'm just going to prepare myself and expect the worst to happen. Expect them to call the police on me. Expect them to send me to prison for picturing folding systems all the time in anywhere that isn't Tesco or Sainsbury's. I mean, because most people are not aware about my kind at all, they just want to try and protect their shop or whatever building it is. That's why they want to stop me from doing it. I mean, my kind is probably so weird that no one knows about it, and people may get scared about it as well. Probably, but the fact is, I don't know why people treat me like I'm someone else. Why can't I just mention his name? Well, I mean, I could just be talking about anyone, really. It's not just, but it's just everyone's so against him, and I'm only against him because people have forced me to do so. But when I compare the good moments to other people that I've dealt with, it kind of makes me more likely to overlook him. Hence why I may have tried to attempt to come forward about him, but kind of failed because I've been overtaken by the bad side of it and been forced to go against him. I mean, the fact is, I'm not personally against him except for just one or two things. But I only did it because I was forced to do so. But at the moment, I'm just neutral and not getting involved in any more going against him. I'm finished. But the fact is, though, if I actually was with him at that point, I don't know what would have happened. But maybe if he was with me in Ilford, that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have been detained, and I would have been able to deal with, or if I was, I would have been able to deal with it better. That's why I need to stop doing this alone. I mean, I once had that opportunity, but someone or everyone just wants me to get rid of him because of his controversy. You just think you can't get overtaken by that. Yeah, I may have ruined my own reputation by probably, realising how weak I am at dealing with these situations now. And I mean, this is why there was a lack of photos in both 2018 and 2019, or 2019 especially, because I was probably terrified of dealing with people like that, or terrified that I might get into a situation like that, even though in 2019 the record is kind of clean. But I think it's because I was doing it mostly in London, and I didn't really want, anyone to react to me. That's kind of why I've been just being extra careful, because I couldn't deal with it as much as I can now. But now I probably can't deal with. Well, now I just don't think I can trust anyone. I mean, the fact is, no one ever accepts my interest that I deal with. No one I deal with ever accepts it. I mean, it may seem like some people accept it in the slightest, but not enough as they should. And that's why if I was a phone engineer, they would have to accept it, because it's my job. Yeah, and the fact that I have the authority to, not only picture it, but work with it as well, that's clearly my job, and they have to accept it. That's probably the idea, and that's the benefit. And that's still something that I don't understand, why this other person can't be doing the same thing, because even as myself, he probably once hated phone engineers for ripping out old equipment and replacing with modern crap that you don't like and doesn't appeal to vintage enthusiasts like me. I still see the benefits now, because think about it. You'd be the one in control of that. Sure, you may find it sinful to actually rip out old equipment, but you're the one who's doing it, and you have the ability to save it without having to say anything about it. You can just easily take it home like that. I mean, it's not like ADT when they're gonna audit you or to throw it in the skip or they'll sack you. I mean, may I suggest that no one, and I mean no one, works for ADT. So yeah, to be authorised to work with foreign systems is a benefit. And even if you don't respect firearm engineers for ripping out old equipment, when you have the ability to do it yourself, it is a different story. And actually, you'll probably be able to overlook everything else because you're now doing it yourself, and you're probably doing what should be done for it to be saved and have its existence revealed. I mean, people like us can make a difference to firearm companies. They can make firearm companies not hateable. And firearm engineers can be called out to literally anywhere that some selfish manager is hiding old equipment from firearm enthusiasts. But you can't hide them from firearm engineers. That's the point. Although, when I'm not actually working, I don't know what other people will react to me if I told them I'm a qualified firearm engineer and I'm picturing your firearm system, even though I haven't been called out to that particular site. I don't know what people would react to that, though. We'll just probably have to see. I mean, let's just see what happens first. Well, I'll either end up being a firearm engineer and I'll be safe at last, or before then, the police would have caught me first because they've been called out by some overreactive, selfish person who's wanted to keep the old equipment to himself and doesn't want it to be revealed because no one else can be bothered to reveal it other than me. And I'd probably be either put in prison or let out again. I mean, we'll just have to see what happens first. But I'm going to make sure that the procedure kind of continues, and I'm not going to let anything get in my way this time. But whenever I am picturing firearm systems, I'm going to see if I can try and take it a bit easier from now on. But it shouldn't be too hard if I continue doing it for supermarkets. Plus, I need to go to more home-based Wickes and B&Qs because they tend to have good equipment as well. I think while we're at it, I think we should just see what other places there are to see. I mean, you may remember I kind of had a look around the Orpington area. I think I continued that and tried to see what was beyond Orpington. I mean, I know there's an old-looking Asda somewhere around here, I guess. I think it was around 6. There it is. Oh, yeah, I do need to go to Tesco as well. Or was it on the St Mary's Crane line? I think there was somewhere else that probably had something else. Maybe it was here, actually. Yeah, I think this is somewhere I need to go to as well. Okay, there's the Asda. I mean, even that Audi looks kind of old, but I don't know what's actually in it. I think by now it would have probably had FIKE put in. I can't really see what's actually in there. Well, the good thing is though you can see FIKE equipment from the outside. So that kind of, because I think, Well, anyways, sorry, I just got a message. I'll see about that in a minute. There's a Wilco down here as well, actually. I mean, I do have more trust in, well, particularly older ones. I mean, Wilco tend to have a variety of equipment. They, I mean, it's really just the modern ones that have modern equipment. The old ones have old equipment like they should. And Wilco has been around for quite some time, as it turns out. It may not look that way since the first Wilco I've been to was in 2009, or was it 2011? I can't remember. Well, I mean, it was abandoned for quite some time where it took over. And that's it here. I think I first went to this one in either 2010 or 11. I mean, I don't know how long it's been here for, but it just kind of points out a possible fact that Wilco is a new shop that I never heard about at the time. But when you go to others elsewhere, you kind of realise how old they really are. Okay, it was probably around in 2010, I guess, by the looks of it. Yeah, well, this one has ABB Imaging Light manufactured system, which is fairly modern. Well, I mean, I can't remember what the second one I went to was. I think it was Stratford, actually. I'm not sure how old that one actually is. I mean, it might be older because although it does have the same kind of equipment, it's kind of a mixture of, MGI and Gent equipment, apparently. See, I don't know how long this one's been around for. Oh, okay, it was around back then. Well, it probably would have had like a Gent Xenex or something like that back then. If that come to think of it, I think the one in Orpington would have had something bigger than a Xenex. And I don't think it would have had a Xenex at first. I mean, the Xenex that it has now is a relatively new Xenex, and it's newer than the rest of the system, for example. Oh yeah, it's just a modern Astor. I think it was this one that had the, there's no access. Well, I think it was this one that had the really old Kentex Sigma. I don't know how old it is, probably early 2000s. I don't know why. I mean, it's mainly a Gent equipment in that place, but the panel is probably just as old as that. I don't know if that would have been installed with the Gent equipment, or if that was probably a very early replacement. I do need to go here at some point as well. Because I think there is a kind of old looking Sainsbury's that could potentially have conventional in it. What the fuck was that? Just sounded rattling. So it was as if something had. What's that? Do you think soot collapsed in the fireplace? Yeah, I mean, you heard that, didn't you? I mean, that was weird. I guess this is added extreme bonus for you, perhaps. I'll have to see what it might have been. I'll look into it in a minute. I probably should just return to Ilford and just, emphasise the fact that position of bad situation has been overtaken. Besides, they might not recognise me out of thousands of other people in the same place at the same time anyway. Besides, I probably don't need to picture more of that foreign system anyway. But I can't be banned for it though. That's the thing. I mean now they choose that I should be caught picturing their foreign system. They're a bit late for that because I may have just finished it. I mean, I was extremely overwhelmed afterwards, but at least I didn't break down into tears like I did this time. And at least they hadn't constantly mouthed off to me like some, I don't know, I don't know how long it's going to take for me to recover over this latest one, because I think I've only just recovered over the Ilford one at that very point. Well, I think there are other places in Ilford I need to have a look at. Oh yeah, that's one of them. Oh yeah, it's the City of London Cemetery, where both Grandad and Aunt Mandy were buried. Well, actually, no, not buried, but where the funeral was, I mean. So they don't actually bury people here anymore. It's getting pretty close to Ilford, I guess. Or is it Manor Park? I guess it was at some point we'd have gone over the Great Eastern Main Line. No, that viewpoint's here, isn't it? Oh no, it wasn't there, was it? Yeah, if anything, the people who probably saved me at that point probably don't particularly understand the situation, but they probably do know their neighbours in the industrial estate. So that's why I'm doing this live stream. I'm going to share it to them and kind of, they'll understand everything. I mean, the fact is their place is also an example that places in industrial estates actually do have all the good stuff. Is there a Primark in Ilford? This one might just have GFE though. This one might not have been around in 2008. I don't know, I never really... Well, it's just I do find Primark rather promising and trustworthy after both Hackney and Wembley's Primark. But I guess most of the modern ones have GFE. Well, either that or Apollo. Or both, rather, because it turns out that GFE and Apollo are the same. I mean, you can run Apollo and general GFE equipment on a GFE panel. I mean, you see that in TK Maxx as well. I mean, someone also says otherwise, that TK Maxx can possibly have something different in them. I didn't believe them until after the one in Colchester, which had something completely different in it. I do need to do more of West London because I hardly ever go there. Normally it's just East and Central London that I go to, but I don't think I've ever laid foot in Central London before. I mean, West London, particularly. I think the closest to West London I've been to would probably be Hammersmith. I think I may be finished for Greenwich. I think that's the B&Q where I addressed rumours that Clarkson Safety Services actually is possible to be found in a B&Q as well as Homebase. Well, yeah, I think there was some places around here that I used to go to as well. I wonder how old that Sainsbury's is. Now, where's that external repeater? That's not helping, is it? That's better. Not got some horrible modern van blocking us. Is that it there? Yeah, it must be it there. It's a bit dark though, isn't it? Oh, the 321 route goes via this Sainsbury's, right? But it's not. But Footscray Tesco is not worth visiting. Maybe the petrol station is, but not the actual store itself. It's 100% modernised. I probably had to learn that the hard way, I guess. But I didn't even walk into that place when I got one glimpse of the brand new MX Pro 5 when they normally have MX Pro 4. I guess that may be something different. But it kind of shows they're still doing it. What the hell? Oh, yeah. I think Primark can have absolutely anything in them, particularly old ones like this one. Is there actually a Morrison's in there? Okay. I wonder how old this one is then. That doesn't particularly help either. I guess sometimes Morrison's can be either really good or really bad in terms of modernisation. When it comes to old systems, they can be really good. Okay, this one's old enough to be visited, I guess. Just hopefully the inside stays the same as well. I mean, I guess in some of them you can tell if they've actually been refurbished heavily. But I just thought the one in Pettswood had also been a little bit refurbished on the outside. But the inside stayed the same, pretty much. I guess a bell and a call point might have been replaced with another bell and another call point. At least the whole system didn't get replaced with addressable. Yeah, I think Croydon's another place I should go to as well. I mean, I was suggesting I should go down there. I probably should have taken that opportunity to not go alone. That probably would have ended up better. Green Eye for Blue Water. Blue Water is all the way down there. You'll have to get a bus route. I suppose at that time I'd actually... I mean, the Oyster Card point for South Eastern ends here at Darth and not here at Greenlife. But bus routes, on the other hand, end here at Blue Water in Greenlife. So that's why I ended up getting the bus back from Blue Water to Woolwich. But it took absolutely ages. Well, at least the bus I used was kind of a nice old one. I think it was a Alexandra Dennis Trident, which most of them are kind of out of regulation. Oh yeah, like wait, this is the Astor? I thought it was somewhere else. No, I think is this really the Astor I went to? I don't remember this one at all. Oh no, it's Gravesend Astor. That's different. Yeah, that's the one I meant. I guess this one does look a lot newer anyway. Well, I guess now I think about it, it just looks like the generic early 2000s Astor. But my local Astor was built in 2009. It looks exactly the same as every other Astor that was built before then. So I just figured that this one was just like that one. But yeah, it turns out that its funnel system is actually a lot newer than the building itself. I mean, how long has this been here for? Actually, was it just built at that point? Well, they kind of put in 6,000 plus in 2008, couldn't they? Nor could they. Or actually, did 6,000 plus exist in 2012? Could possibly have done. Why have you done that? Yeah, maybe it was only just being built at this point. But what doesn't make sense is that this one has 6,000 plus, and that it's probably the same age as one that has just general 6,000. I'm not sure if this kind of gives it away, but still. I mean, I don't know if it would have had 6,000 plus at this point. I mean, it could have had just general 6,000. Okay. Okay, it does clearly have the 6,000 plus. I think at this point it was supposed to be a Tesco, wasn't there? I guess sometimes Tesco Extra can still have a bit of success, like the one in Beckton. That one had Hochiki instead of Apollo, which was good. Yeah, this does look much older than that one, but its funnel system is exactly the same. I mean, just look at the horrible modernisation they've done to it. I mean, I bet back in 2012 would have been more convincing, more promising. I suppose that looks particularly more promising. And I bet its funnel system would have been more interesting back then as well, before it ruined it with 6,000 plus, like they did to the one in Colchester and the one in Isle of Dogs. I mean, how dare they do it to the one in Isle of Dogs? That one was probably one of the oldest Astors I knew about, and they fucking ruined it. And don't be fooled by its old appearance on the outside. Its internal appearance is very different. That one looks particularly new as well. You can't always trust Tesco Express, really. Some of them would have been built relatively new. I really don't understand this place. It just doesn't particularly make sense. It looks like it's closed down, but it also looks like it's still active. I wonder what's in this one though. It looks brand new actually. Let's just check. Hang on. These Waitrose choose a better time to build their stores than Tesco. Another Waitrose. Can't make out where it is. I don't think that was Tesco. I didn't know about this one. Okay, seems alright. Hey? Oh, hang on. How is that different? Okay, no, it's a bit more nice. Forget that one. I mean, that's only going to have modern Apollo in it anyway. I don't know about that though. Just have to see. Huh? There's no sign of that one at all. Yeah, actually it was just recently put in as well, no doubt. There's an Asda in here as well. I don't know how long it's been there for. I don't doubt it's just going to have either 6,000 or 6,000 plus like they all do. Well, I guess some cases they're still worth a try because some say some houses don't have something other than ProTech, and it probably is possible. I mean, I don't have proof myself at the moment, but I'm not going to give up on trying to find out what they really have. Took over a Woolworths. I mean, if I could go back in time and go and picture phone systems here, that would be pretty amazing. Oh wait, I've been to that Sainsbury's already, haven't I? At least it made up for this fucking Tesco's. Oh, there's an Asda here as well. Why didn't I walk further the other side? What was I thinking? How long has this been here for? And in shops? Oh god, what have they done? Wait, what? They modernised it as an in-shops in 2012? Okay, now it isn't Asda. Why couldn't they just change this to, I don't know, Market Village like they did to the one in Stratford? Then they would have kept its old glory. Okay, there's a Boots here as well. I don't know why that's got in it. Maybe I should have a look at this one just in case, just to see how much of it has been ruined. Nope. These bits seem kind of promising. Well, I guess Peacocks does as well. Oh, no, wait, it was a Woolworths. At least you can actually see what's in there. I mean, I just wonder if there's like one remaining Woolworths in the UK. I changed to a Tesco Express. Again. But wait, it closed down again. Wow. How often does that happen? Wasn't the Tesco Express very long by the looks of it? I bet what it is now would have kept its Tesco funnel system that they had put in. Although, who knows, maybe Peacocks had done something with it. I mean, by the looks of it, it's now a pound structure. But let's see if they would have kept the funnel system that Tesco would have put in. Or maybe Tesco didn't bother putting a new funnel system in, but that never happens. Oh god, why would you do that? Don't you think it's a bit too big for a Lidl as well? What were they thinking? I mean, so that's why there aren't really many home bases in London. I mean, if anything, the home base in Walthamstow is gone now as well. I mean, I'm still waiting for, another chance to not do this alone, basically. Wait, what's this? This seems alright. I don't know how long it's been there, though. I don't know what's in it. When is someone gonna actually help me? Because they literally just do everything alone, seriously. Asda or Walmart if you live in the US. Don't know about that. Oh, Sainsbury's. I wonder how old this one is. Seems alright. It doesn't look particularly modernised. I guess this one might be worth seeing as well. I don't know where that is though. How do we get to that place? Is that the Midland Main Line? Oh no, it's the East Coast main line. Okay, there's another Sainsbury's here. Looks kind of generic. I mean, is external repeatable or not? So the question. No. Where is that thing? It's there. But it looks like it's been vandalised. Still looks the same though. That's the Waitrose. It's kind of weird actually. I doubt it used to be one though. Yeah, look, it's just a random pub. I thought only Tesco's do that. But I guess Waitrose does as well. Sainsbury's seem quite common in this area. I wonder what this one's like. Oh no, this one looks a bit different. Oh, okay, that's fine. Oh, yeah, that reminds me, there's a Sainsbury's in southwest London that looks particularly different and probably smaller than most others. Yeah, I know why I avoided that. Is there anything in Hatfield Peveril? There's that, but I don't think that's particularly promising. Yeah, that's miles out of Chelmsford. How can they say it's in Chelmsford? I know I've been to that one already, haven't I? That one looks particularly new as well, doesn't it? Yeah, it's just taken over yet another pub. I mean, why do they do that? I guess Tesco probably were right about there being too many modern Tesco stores being implemented in the UK. This one doesn't look too promising. Yeah, I do need to have a look around West London because I hardly ever go there. Okay, well, what's in here? There's a B&Q, that seems good enough. It looks like it's been there for a while, actually. Yeah, okay, that seems right. I'm not sure if it's going to have Zeit on or something else, though. Is that the freight only branch for the North London line? Yeah, it is. do need to go transferring this point at some point. There's a carriage. I don't know if that's an industrial estate or a retail park. I can't really tell. That was initial here. But they don't own Shorrock anymore, do they? Huh. Well then. I wonder if they actually do have a... Oh no, they don't. They have something else. This doesn't particularly make sense. Oh, okay. It's not normally to keep it in the middle of an industrial estate like this. Okay, I suppose they would have kept what was left in it in the first place. What else have we got? I don't know how I'd get to it. Oh, it's Tesco. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty cool, actually. I don't know what's in this one, though. It could be a scam like the others. I think normally if you had a Polo, there'd be an added detector in a bit like this. And you'd normally be able to see it from the outside. But I can't particularly tell if there is one or not. I mean, I suppose the one in Goodmayes doesn't have that. But it's because the system there was installed relatively early. I mean, it's good that it was installed earlier than the others. Okay, as long as I've got a petrol station as well, that can back me up if the main store fails at showing old equipment. There's a home base as well. I wonder how long this one's been here for. Okay, that'll do. There's Comet as well. Is that in the same building? When was that closed down? Okay, I don't know how they did that, but they must have refurbished it or something. I don't know how they were able to blank that bit out. I mean, normally there should be an external repeater panel in home base as well. I don't know what film systems Comet have had. I never took note of any in there. I guess they could have, well, either expanded the system or just kept the one that was in the Comet to begin with. Okay, I think that's the external repeater panel there. I don't know if it is still there at the moment. Okay, it is still there, that's good. That shows they've already kept its old system and didn't modernise it too much. I wonder what else there is. There's a Tesco Express. But I bet it just took over yet another different kind of building. It's very different though, isn't it? Yeah, that they just done the same thing that they always do. This one's kind of weird. I don't know how long this has been there for. Maybe they could have built that over the top later. That's not far back enough for me to decide it's old enough to look at. I guess neither is that either. Wait, what happened? It probably just goes to show it's probably... Oh, it's here. Maybe it is worth seeing. We'll just have to see about that. How old is this? A bet it's only going to be a couple of years old, perhaps. Let alone it's only going to have Fike in it as well. Oh, it was there in 2000. Well, I guess even if it was there in 2009, it could have still had a bit older Fike equipment in there. Can't see what's in there though. Oh, another Cisco down here. Has even got the same. I don't know how old this one is. I don't know if it's got Apollo or something else in it. Is there something in there? At least they deactivated those 2020 lights. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and end the live stream. I mean, for the past couple of minutes, I haven't been particularly serious now. But at least I've been able to get something off of my mind. And also, I probably won't take that much of a break from Final Photos, but I'm going to just take it a little bit easier for now. So I'm going to call it then.